we put the band back together? John Pearson, Eric Dobratz, Ann Nyberg. Really, this came up because a letter that was put out by a volunteer coach up in Rhode Island coaching lacrosse, youth league lacrosse, who really has had enough. He's a volunteer coach, and he's saying, look, I do all of this for free. Let's stop complaining about what I'm doing.
I think what was really great about him writing this is he doesn't want anything in return. What he's saying is when you're screaming at him behind his back or his wife hears what you're saying about the coach, it's kind of like, do this yourself. You try to volunteer and give hours. You're doing the best you can do, and everybody's criticizing, armchair coaching.
Yeah, and parents, they need to realize one thing, too, from the youth level. No one's getting a college scholarship from there. No one's going pro from there.
I think that's part of the problem,
You need
right?
to let these kids enjoy, learn the lessons of the youth sports, the teamwork, the confidence you get in that, scoring your first goal or helping a buddy up who gets knocked down off the field. There's so many great lessons to be learned in youth sports, and parents, they need to relax. I mean, I've been a parent too who's barked a little bit on occasion too, but I've caught myself, and we all have to police ourselves a little bit.
And the other thing too is, as these coaches, everyone forgets, they get there before everyone else. They're the first ones there. They're the last ones to leave. I mean, we've all had people in our lives coach us, and my dad coached me for years. We were always there 45 minutes before the game started, and we're always the last ones to leave. Why? Because some parent didn't get there on time to pick up their kid. Hey, practice is 5 till 7. 5 o'clock till 7 o'clock. Parent shows up at 7:20. Who's staying? The coach.
And basically, your dad is the one who had to make sure that everything was okay. He had to make up for everyone else's mistakes. To me, it's kind of like, somebody is nice and brings in donuts for everyone at the office, and then someone at the office starts complaining, hey, how come you didn't bring in the jelly donuts? It's like, you bring in the donuts.
Right.
I mean,
does anybody think about the kids and how this reflects on them playing when you're just going after the coach? You're not doing this right. You're not playing my kid in this particular position. Does anybody think about how embarrassing that is to the child when you're screaming at the coach on the field?
Totally.
Yeah,
totally.
And the man referenced in his letter that, his kid probably hears it in school from other kids about your dad being a lame coach, your dad not doing this. And there's so many sports that need coaches. I mean, it's not just baseball, it's the youth football, it's the lacrosses, it's the field hockey. And it is a big, big commitment, but it's also very rewarding for it seems like this gentleman who wrote the letter.
I think it starts at a very young age, too. I have a daughter at 5 years old. She's playing soccer. It's co-ed, right? So the girls and boys are playing together. You go out there. It's cute as can be. But one of the parents has to volunteer as a coach. One of the parents has to get out there before everyone else, like your dad did so many times.
Hand out the uniforms.
Right. And there are parents complaining about, well, what was the score? How come we're not keeping score? What's the win-loss record? The coach is like, well, we don't do that at this level. The parents getting all irate about it. It's really? They're 5 years old.
I think there's so much pressure. Like you said, this doesn't count for the big leagues, but yes, it does. And you're 3 years old, and you've got to do this perfect, and you've got to play my kid. Society has gotten so crazy about this, and we just need to take a breath.
We're on a roll here, but we do have to stop for TV. So we're going to continue this conversation over on sportsedge.com. For now, here on television, look, you don't need fancy equipment or really anything more than a little space to get in a great workout. Perfect for those of you who travel a lot. All right, now let's continue this, because what were you saying here?
Well, I just think that unless you want to volunteer yourself and do this, and as you brought up, Eric, spend the hours and, let's see, who am I going to play? Little Billy over here and Jimmy. I mean, there's hours and hours and hours. And I think the coach that wrote this so eloquently, he doesn't want anything in return, but he's saying, could you just think about it? Because my wife, who's sitting in the stands, is hearing what you're saying about me. And yeah, we can agree to disagree, but give me a break.
And as a parent, you have to be honest with the talent of your child as well. Your child, you may want them to score all the goals, all the points, but that might not be their best position. And you need to let the coach realize that maybe defense is the best position and they're talented at that, and let them put them in that position to succeed and coach them at that point. And on the flip side of this too, there are some coaches who get into this just to favor their children. There's a lot of coaches who don't.
Well,
true.
And you were coached by your dad for so many years. Did you hear regularly, oh, well, you get to play because your dad's the coach? And did you wish that your dad wasn't the coach?
Yeah. It's like you're the pitcher or you're the quarterback because your dad's the coach. You know what I mean? How many times were you like, okay, you're going to pitch tomorrow? Well, you were in the back of your mind thinking, well, is little Johnny or so-and-so going to think he's only picking me because I'm his kid, or am I good? So it is a bit of a struggle as someone who you're trying to just be a player on the team, but your dad's the coach. So it is a little tricky.
Which may not have been the case when you were playing, but I remember when I was playing, I always found the coach's kid to be really good. I'm kidding about that. Wasn't the case for you. But I always found the coach's kids to be pretty good because, you know, their parents are into coaching. Their parents are into
And they're
teaching, and
invested
they
in
know
their
this.
child.
Exactly.
Like we all are. But
Well, I think all the parents think that they know better. And sometimes you just don't know better. And you brought up a really great point, John, is that you need to know your child. And maybe your child doesn't need to be pitcher. They need to be in the outfield position. And so, you know, take a good hard look at your child and your life as well.
And at the young, really young levels, really let the kids participate. And I know there are people who say, no, this isn't about participation. It's about teaching the kids how to win. But at a really young level, if it really does become all about participation, we want to make sure that every kid gets in, every kid gets a chance to play and see whether they want to advance to the next level in the older ages of this sport. That's important.
And most of the best athletes seem to be late bloomers anyway. A lot of these kids who are really good at a young age seem to hit a ceiling. It's a lot of these guys who go on to be professional athletes or females who go on to be professional athletes, you know, bloom at a later age. Just
should
like
get on the-
let them have fun.
We should get on the phone and call all these parents and tell them to knock it off.
Well, how many parents do you hear, though? It's annoying as all can be, right? When you hear a parent say, oh, no, my kid's really good. I mean, my kid is scoring a lot of goals in soccer. And you want to say, yeah, but there aren't any goalies at that level, right? I mean, you're way too young to be analyzing your kid and your kid's talent level. And at this point, they're not ready for the MLS. Give it a break.
And how many of us, I mean, I don't know, remember the positive influence we had on coaches? I remember Mr. Knapp, my first Little League coach, was a great coach, very positive, leading forward. And here I am, years later, I remember him. And on the flip side, I got to coach my oldest daughter's fourth grade basketball team for 1 year. Very demanding, as the letter said. A lot of time with our schedules. It is really hard. But I had so much fun doing that. And I see some of the girls now a few years later, and you know, they're still playing basketball, and they remember you. And it's just to see the growth, and then not just as athletes, as young ladies.
Did you take some garbage? Did people talk behind your
I was
back?
kind of the assistant coach. I was the George Blaney. The head coach was the Jim Calhoun. My friend
You
Rob
had a
McHenry.
layer of
Yeah.
protection.
But we talk about all these negative things, but the one thing I have to add on a positive note here is both my kids are playing T-ball for the first time, and we're helping out as assistant coaches, my wife and I. And it is the most innocent. I mean, you don't keep score.
Yeah.
And you know how it is. Most kids, everyone bats every inning. It goes by fast, and the kids are just having fun. The smiles on their faces. So it's at that level. It's just so pure, and there are good things out there. still, you
And
know.
it's adorable to watch, you know, when you're watching really little kids playing. One of them's throwing his mid up in the
it
in
goes
the
really
outfield.
slow.
And they want the
Fucking
juice
daisies.
and hot dog and the free candy
that's
after
the
the game.
highlight.
And
Not at all.
that's childhood, and we
Yeah.
need to let them be kids.
Right. All right. So lighten up on your volunteer coaches, and you're lighten up on the referees. Everyone's just trying to make it a great experience for your kids.